Good morning, my fellow YouTubers. Got my Matador coffee. You know, something that struck me rather profoundly when I was a kid is we would take a lot of these little 2 or 3 day weekends down to Baja, Mexico. We would go down to Rosarito Beach usually. Stay at the Rosarito Beach Hotel. And it was really, really fun because me and my brother, starting at age 8, got into boogie boarding. But then at age 12, surfing. And we, sometimes there was a tennis court. We could bring our tennis rackets. But mainly the food. Food back in the 70s and 80s was so affordable in Mexico. You could go out for a nice seafood dinner, involving alcohol, and literally spend like $10 or $15 per person for, just being treated like gold. Getting a huge plate of food with the rice and the beans and the tortillas. But what always made an impression upon me was the little barefoot kids in the street of Rosarito Beach with usually a lot of snot, like hard snot right here. Being in groups, usually of like 4 to 8, and just the permanent smiles on their faces. They'd come up to sell you chiclets, usually. Sometimes they'd have like a little thing selling those friend bracelets, the hand-woven little colorful bracelets you get. Or just other, non-essential items. But mainly it was chiclets. But, like the adults would get offended when you would turn down some of their jewelry or something, but the kids would never take offense. They'd come show you the chiclets, you'd say no thank you, and just right away they would just like they wouldn't care. It was like water off a duck's back. But it amazed me how these kids that are in filthy clothing, aren't going to school, have no shoes, and that they're smiling probably 10 times more than myself throughout the entire day. And yet, in my neighborhood, they thought we were it. We lived on this big house on top of a hill, and everyone thought we were like the wealthiest people in the neighborhood because that was my dad's image for his self-esteem and ego. But in order to acquire that house involved a lot of shenanigans, a lot of illegal proceedings, which then followed up with a lot of court dates and a lot of investigations, and it's just no way to live. So here I am in a pretty wealthy neighborhood in Los Angeles, California, with the neighborhood thinking we were the richest people in the neighborhood, when really we were the most dysfunctional in the neighborhood. But and here are these little Mexican kids literally living in a hut, something that was literally like adobe, constructed from the ground and using as much plywood and sheet metal as possible, and just wasn't suitable. Dirt floors, almost not even a real address, because they just make these houses themselves. And probably, living in a group of, with like 3 or 4 siblings in a 1-bedroom house, possibly sleeping on a dirt floor, could be happier than me. So envy. The subject of this video is envy, and how everything that we get envious of, or have the tendency to get envious of, are things that could take us to hell. And the things we are fearful of and avoid, pain, suffering, humiliation, defeat, chastisement, are the things that can actually deliver us to the pearly gates. So it's all backwards. You know, when the Bible says his ways are higher than ours, it really takes like a decade or two of walking on this walk and following Jesus to even begin to really comprehend how much different the heavenly kingdom is versus this secular earthly domain. You know, but Jesus didn't mince words. He shared that with us. You know, the last on earth will be the first in heaven. And the meek shall inherit the earth. You know, because someday in Revelation talks about heaven becoming the new earth, and Jesus being our ruler. But you know, who is our creator? He describes himself as humble, meek, and mild, and he is. So this envy is something that's very, very dangerous. Paul tells us in one of his epistles that be content with whatever you have. I mean, if you get a financial windfall, it doesn't mean you can't upgrade your car. You can't get the laptop you needed to do your job more efficiently. I mean, you can do that, you know, so, but it's just in the moment being happy for what you have, and not constantly every new car you see drive by thinking, God, I wish I could afford a new car. You know, God, I did that for years. Because I had this Honda Element for 15 years. And it was just, you know, key entry, no computerization on the dashboard at all. So it was just very, very simple. And I was envious of all these new cars coming out with Bluetooth and with all these bells and whistles. And my car just being like a car like straight out of the 60s or 70s, you know, key entry, no computerization. Anyways, it's a bad way to be, and it's something that Satan can really, really use against you. He caused me to be in obsessive thinking for over a year because I was taken on my car price due to the supply shortage in 2022 or 2021. Just taken. I mean, it's like my whole savings from my job for 28 years was just blown. And then like a year later, I let the whole, well, not as bad, but when I buy a Harley, they pull some shenanigans and they get an extra like maybe $1,500 out of me. And I was having obsessive thoughts about how long it was going to take to get out from under this financial debt. I was turned upside down, and I was having trouble making money. But you know, the best thing to remember to help deal with envy is how everything passes. You know, so every month I get auto pay straight out of my bank account for the car and the motorcycle. So every month I get that much closer to being out from underneath this financial debt. You know, but take it all the way to the nth degree, even this whole life is passing. You know, we put so much stock in a certain title we earn at work. Or maybe if we're at high school, being an honor roll student, or being most improved player, or being most valuable player, or being the team captain, and different little things like that we just kind of glom onto, and it becomes almost a part of our identity. And it shouldn't be that way. We should just identify as a child of Christ. Beginning, end. That's the beginning and end of it. We are solely a child of God. So envy has no place, and a lot of, you have the get rich type of preachers, saying, if you give to me, God will reward you tenfold. So all you have to do is keep giving to me and you will become a millionaire. And then you also have a lot of YouTubers saying that, always using Joseph from the Old Testament, and always talking about how, don't worry, you're about to be exalted. You're about to have a financial windfall. You're about to have you're about to have all of your haters envy you. And, I just don't, that's nice. God does say he will exalt the humble and bring down the arrogant. And I don't totally disagree with it, but I think it's placing too much stock in still this kind of idea of Jesus being a genie. That when we rub the Aladdin's, when we rub the little, whatever it's called, the lamp, that Jesus will come out of there and grant us 3 wishes. The whole reason we're in this is not to get special feelings of love. We're not in it to make him exalt us because, okay, I did what I was supposed to do. Now, Jesus, you do what you're supposed to do. That's a transactional relationship, which is what narcissists love. We are not narcissists. Jesus is not a narcissist. We should not go for this reward mentality. Okay, I'm going to put in the work and then you give me my reward. No, it's a love affair where you're getting the reward daily because of the peace, love, and joy that he puts in your heart and the wind that he puts beneath your wings. It is all good. And whatever comes in the afterlife, we're going to be so appreciative because we've already got used to down here on earth being appreciative and content with whatever our circumstances dictate. So, so much of earth is preparation for heaven. And that's why it's important also to practice praising him, practice worshiping, practice giving thanks, because that's what our whole eternity is going to be about. But it's not going to be forced. It's going to be something we want to do because of this incredible existence we have in heaven and because of this incredible love affair we have with the second person of the Holy Trinity. So, and it's tough though, because these days there's so many nice things. The wealthy can literally almost make themselves a heaven down here on earth. But in everyone's life, some rain must fall. And if you are far from Jesus, the main thing he uses to bring you back is difficulty, hardship, pain, and suffering. Because pain is incredible. You can have such a debilitating pain that a person that has never prayed will start praying. Pain. I've experienced pain where, like, if you say pain is on a 1 to 10 scale threshold, you literally think, no, this is like 100. If 10 is the most that the average mind can conceptualize, this would be 100. There is incredible pain. And if you have to spend all day in incredible pain, go to sleep with it, wake up with it, almost get no sleep because of it, you will start doing things that you never would have considered doing. One of which might be prayer, So I'm kind of losing track of my thoughts, but it is hard to avoid wanting what this world has to offer, especially when, all throughout evolution, the things that the world can offer are getting nicer and nicer and nicer, And it's because in the end times, people are going to be lovers of self. And these things build that ego. So an extremely luxurious car and maybe a mansion in Los Angeles and a condo in Hawaii and, people asking you for your signature, who knows, it's just, it's building that self-reliance, it's building that false ego, it's building a concept of this is how it's going to be forever, when that's not it at all. So I'm kind of, I keep losing where I'm going with this, but basically, let's follow Paul's teachings that we need to be content with whatever our circumstances are in life. And I live with a lot of people that do not have transportation. And their life is extremely hampered, you might say, because of that. I mean, running errands might have to involve walking to the bus, learning the bus routes, getting transfers, and doing all of these things that people would just rather not do. But they're happier than you might think, because their life is simplified. When your life is simplified, it is easier to focus on just being happy in the moment, because you don't have much to worry about. You don't have a car that you have to go make sure is clean. Brand new cars, you immediately start trying to want to make them look brand new and smell brand new all the time. When I was a teenager, my motorcycle and my Jeep, I washed each of those like at least once a week, and now I have a 4Runner and a Harley that are worth so much more money, yet I hardly ever wash them. And it's because I put so much stock in them. It was literally a big part of my identity. And now they're just utility. They're just things to get me from point A to point B. The motorcycle more so is like therapy. A 2-hour motorcycle ride can help you forget about just about any problems you might have. But it's the way the good Lord is changing me. And I'm sure many of you, please list it down in the comments, have seen the work of the good Lord from the inside out and how he's changing you. I actually took this car in to sell it. I was thinking about selling it. The only reason I didn't sell it was because they didn't offer me enough, and I wouldn't, my dog's life would become so much more boring. No dog trips, no camping with me. It would just be living in that little tiny room that I rent and going for walks. And he already knows all the walks around here, so there'd be no hiking, there'd be no camping, I already said all the things. And so basically I kept it for him. But anyways, God bless you. Smash the like button. Leave a comment. Hit like, dislike. Share this video. And I'll talk to you later.